Costco sells more Scotch than any retailer in North America. It also moves more Macallan and more Johnnie Walker Blue than any single store on the planet. And most people walk that aisle, see prices that look too low to be real, and grab the wrong bottle anyway. There is a name in small print at the bottom of one of those labels. Once you know who that is, 3 other bottles on this aisle stop looking like a coincidence. One bottle on this list is an 18-year-old single malt, selling for what most stores charge for a 12. And the bottle at number 1 is one I have called overpriced on this channel. At Costco, it is not. And the reason why is the whole point of this video. 7 Scotches at Costco, actually worth your money. Number 7. One rule before we start. Costco warehouses do not carry the same stock. Prices move, items rotate, and half of these are regional. So I am giving you the item and the number to check against, not a promise. Number 7. Kirkland Signature Blended Scotch, 1.75 liters, which is more than twice a standard bottle, and depending on your state, it runs somewhere between $22 and $30. Let me be direct about what you are buying. It is not a hidden gem. It is a blended Scotch, 40% alcohol by volume, matured in American oak, and it is built to compete with Dewar's White Label. People who have poured them side by side say the Kirkland is a touch darker and lands in almost exactly the same place on the palate. Dewar's costs meaningfully more for less than half the liquid. So what is this bottle for? Highballs with soda and lemon. Rob Roy's. Guests who drop 2 ice cubes in before you finish pouring. Buying a $50 single malt for that job is not generosity. It is waste. Here is the part nobody looks at. Turn the bottle around and read the very bottom of the label. There is a company name printed there that Costco does not have to disclose and does anyway. Hold that name. It comes back at number 2, and when it does, it changes what 3 of the bottles on this list actually are. Number 6. Glenfiddich, 12-year-old. This is the best-selling single malt Scotch in the world. It is the bottle that essentially invented the single malt category in 1963, when almost everything on a shelf was blended. It is 40% alcohol by volume, aged in a combination of bourbon and sherry casks, and it tastes like pear, green apple, and a light thread of oak. Nothing about it is challenging. Is that a criticism? No. It is the entire design brief. At most liquor stores, you are paying somewhere in the mid-50s. What has Costco been running it at? Closer to $38. That is a gap of nearly $20 on the most recognized single malt on Earth. It puts a 12-year age statement into the same price bracket as blended Scotch. Do you know somebody who says they do not like Scotch? This is the bottle you hand them. It is the least intimidating single malt made, and it now costs about what you pay for Johnnie Walker Black. One catch, and it matters to you specifically. Glenfiddich 12 is only showing up at a fraction of the Costco warehouses that sell spirits. It is not a national item. If it is in yours, that is luck, not policy. And luck comes up again at number 5. That is the bottle where Costco stops competing with other stores and starts playing a completely different game. Number 5. The Macallan 12-year-old Sherry Oak. Macallan is the number 1 single malt in the world by value, and it is not close. The 12-year-old Sherry Oak is matured entirely in Oloroso Sherry seasoned European oak from Jerez in Spain, 43%. and Macallan controls that wood supply end to end. They partner with a cooperative in Spain and 2 sawmills in the north of the country. Why go that far? Because the cask does most of the work, and they know it. What you get is dried fruit, vanilla, chocolate, and a long, warm finish. What has Costco been listing it at? Around $54. How is that possible when the same bottle sits at $70 or $80 everywhere else? Because Costco is not buying it the way a liquor store buys it. Costco negotiates volume agreements directly with the parent companies, including Edrington, who own Macallan, and Diageo, who own Johnnie Walker. They commit to a quantity at a price far below what everyone else in the market is paying, and then they run their famous markup ceiling on top of it. A whiskey buyer in Houston who judges international spirits competitions put it plainly. On Macallan or Johnnie Walker Blue, it is virtually impossible to beat Costco on price. So on this bottle, you are not getting a deal. You are getting the wholesale power of a company that moves $4 billion of alcohol a year, pointed at your shelf. That is a very different thing, and it only works while you are standing in that building. Everything up to this point has been a bottle you could find somewhere else for more money. From number 4 up, that stops being true. And the reason has nothing to do with negotiation. Number 4. Laphroaig 10-year-old. This is peated Islay Scotch. Heavily peated. Laphroaig is the bottle people describe as iodine, seaweed, tar, hospital antiseptic, and campfire, and they mean all of that as praise. It is 43%. It has been made on the south coast of Islay since 1815, and it is the most divisive mainstream single malt there is. You will either pour it twice a week for the rest of your life, or you will give the bottle away before New Year. Is there a middle result with Laphroaig? In my experience, no. What does it normally cost you? Around $55. In the spring of 2026, Costco warehouses were running it as low as $29.97. Not a case deal, not a gift set. The standard 750 milliliter bottle at roughly half of retail at more than 150 warehouses. Understand what that means. Islay whiskey is expensive because peated malt is slow and expensive to produce, and Islay has finite capacity. It is the one style of Scotch that almost never goes on sale. And Costco was selling the most famous example of it for less than the Kirkland blend costs per liter. If you have ever been curious about smoke and did not want to risk $60 finding out, that risk just became $30. Buy it, hate it, and you are out the price of 2 coffees a week for a month. Which brings us to the bottle that does the same thing for $11 more and hides who made it. Number 3. Kirkland Signature Islay Single Malt. 750 milliliters, generally around $40, and the label tells you exactly 2 things. It is a single malt, and it came from Islay. That is all Costco will tell you. No distillery, no cask specification beyond the basics, just a region. Why would they hide it? Here is why that is a bargain rather than a warning. There are only 9 working distilleries on Islay. 9. So whichever one made your bottle, you are looking at a producer whose own label sits on that same aisle for double the money. Lagavulin 16 will cost you well over $80. This will not. And the liquid holds up. Reviewers who taste for a living put it in the same conversation as the entry-level bottlings from named Islay distilleries. Same wet rope, same iodine and ash. None of the cost of the name on the front. This is the independent bottler model working exactly as intended. Someone buys casks from a distillery that has more spirit than it has brand, and sells you the liquid without the marketing budget attached to it. You lose the name on the front. You keep about $40. And that raises the obvious question, which is who is actually doing the buying? Quick thing before we get to the top two, because the top two are the whole reason this video exists. The data on this channel says that over 80% of you watching right now are not subscribed. You are showing up for the content, and the algorithm has no reason to show you the next one. If you have made it this far, you clearly care about what you are paying for. Hit subscribe. Number 2. Kirkland Signature Speyside Single Malt. This is the one people hunt for. Depending on the year, Costco has released it as a 17, an 18 with a sherry cask finish, a 19, a 20, a 22, and a 23. Prices have run from about $50 to about $75. Ask yourself when you last saw an 18-year-old single malt under $70. That is not a discount. That is a different economy. So let us go back to that name at the bottom of the label from number 7. Alexander Murray and Company. It sounds like a 200-year-old bottler on a back street in Edinburgh. It is not. It is based in Calabasas, California, and it was founded in 2004 by a Scottish expatriate named Steve Lipp. He named the company after his great-uncle, a man called Alexander Murray, who gave him the first whiskey he ever tasted. They have been bottling for Costco since 2007, and they source from roughly a dozen distilleries across Scotland. They will confirm the region for you. They will not confirm the distillery, ever, which is why the guessing has been going on for almost 20 years. Tullibardine gets named constantly, so do Mortlach and Longmorn, and for the sherried Speyside releases, an enormous number of people have argued for Macallan or Aberlour, partly because Kirkland has openly partnered with Macallan on releases in the past. Now, hold two numbers next to each other. Macallan's own 25-year-old sherry oak sells for around $1,500. Costco has put 20-year-old and 22-year-old Speyside sherried single malt on the floor for under $100. Nobody can prove they are the same liquid. That is the entire design of the arrangement. But here is what is not in doubt. Somewhere in Scotland, a distillery with a very famous name is selling casks to a man in California. And the deal is that you never find out which one. Number 1. Glenfiddich, 18-year-old. I want to be careful here, because I have gone after this bottle before. Almost everywhere, this bottle costs you between $120 and $180. At that number, it is one of the clearest examples of name tax in Scotch. 40% in the United Kingdom. Chill filtered, regardless of market. Reviewers in 2026 have described recent bottlings as thin and diminished compared to what the bottle used to be. And Glenfiddich's own 15-year-old, the one built on their Solera vat, quietly outperforms it at half the money. When a cheaper bottle from the same distillery beats the expensive one, something has gone wrong. All of that is still true. So why is it number 1? In July of 2026, Costco was selling it for $70.07, more than 80 warehouses, against a listed range that runs up to $165. So here is the thing that took me a while to accept. Overpriced is not a property of a bottle. It is a property of a bottle and a price standing next to each other. At $165, Glenfiddich 18 is a logo with whiskey in it. At $70, it is 18 years of Speyside maturation. Dried fruit, baked apple, oak, and a genuinely long finish. It is sitting at the price of a 12-year-old Balvenie Doublewood, and about $10 over the Laphroaig you just heard about. Nothing in the liquid changed. The number on the sign in front of you changed. And that is the single most useful thing this aisle can teach you, because it works in both directions. The same logic that makes this bottle worth buying at Costco is exactly what makes it a ripoff everywhere else. That is the 7. One more thing, because it reframes everything you just heard. 3 of the 7 bottles on this list ultimately answer to the same 2 corporations, Edrington and Diageo. The volume agreements that make Macallan cheap at Costco are the same agreements that decide which of their distilleries gets to taste like something, and which one gets bottled at the legal minimum and sold to you at a premium. There are 8 companies that own effectively every Scotch brand on that aisle. More than half of them are not Scottish. One of them makes handbags, and one of them is holding roughly half of all the Scotch currently maturing in Scotland. I went through all 8, and who they actually answer to, and that video is on screen now. If this saved you money, subscribe. That is the whole exchange.